everybody. Hope you're all doing well. We are doing the muffin method this week. I'm Mrs. Kramer and I'm one of the home ec teachers in our department, as well as Miss Morabito and Miss Palisari. So this week you are learning a method. So hopefully you've gotten the hang of measuring ingredients from the brownie cupcake. And now we're going to do something a little bit healthier. Many people don't know the difference between a muffin and a cupcake. They just think as long as it's in one of these little paper liners, they think it's a cupcake. Or they might think it's just a muffin. Okay, so one of the big differences is muffins have much less sugar and fat. Okay, so the cupcakes you made last week, high in sugar, high in fat, but they tasted really good, didn't they? So this time we're going to show you how to make something that still tastes good, but has a lot less sugar and a lot less fat. So we can still have a treat, but have it a little bit healthier. Let's measure all our ingredients first. Okay, so we're doing banana chocolate chip muffins. We need 80 milliliters of sifted all-purpose flour. Okay, we're going to sift it before we measure. Okay? So at this point, it doesn't matter if it is exact or not, because we're going to sift it first. Okay. So we'll put it through the sifter and tap it through. And now we will scoop it back into the 80 ml measure to get an accurate measurement. Remember, sifting adds air to your flour so that it is lighter. Sifting also takes lumps out, okay, and makes it a more accurate measurement. Okay, so remember the metal spatula, drawing it right across. There's 80 mils. Now this leftover flour can just go right back into your container. Next ingredient is whole wheat flour. If you were doing this in school, you would have your partner go to the demo table and get the whole wheat flour. Whole wheat flour is similar to all-purpose flour, but with the bran added back into the flour. The bran is the outside coating of the wheat kernel, and this way it adds more nutrition. Okay, so you're adding bran into your muffin and adding more nutrition. This one you do not need to sift. Okay, so take a big scoop and level that off. So that's ready for us. Your partner would have a blue tray and be getting all the ingredients at the demo table ready and bringing it back to your kitchen. Okay, so that's 80 mils of all-purpose flour and 80 mils of whole wheat flour. If you don't have whole wheat flour at home, just use all-purpose. So that would be 160 of all-purpose if you don't have any whole wheat. You're going to use 125 of rolled oats. You would just take a big scoop, all right, and level that off. Next ingredient is 50 mils of sugar. That's 2 times 25. Okay, so that's 25. Another 25. Remember, level off. 5 mils of baking powder. This one. Now I've looked ahead on the recipe and I can put my baking powder right into the bowl because we'll be mixing all our dry ingredients together. Now I've got this handy straight edge here to level off. Okay. So I can put that with my sugar or my flour because it's all going into one bowl later. So I know I've looked ahead at step number 3 that says to put all your dry ingredients together. Okay. Now remember to keep your counter clean as you go. Now I want 2 milliliters of baking soda. Now you might be wondering what the difference is between baking powder and soda. Baking powder is baking soda with an acid ingredient added to it. Okay, so this has baking soda and an acid to make it work. So soda needs an acid ingredient for it to work. So now we're adding a little more soda to this, and it already has the acid to make the carbon dioxide when it hits water and heat. Okay, so soda and powder, try not to mix those up. You need 5 mils of powder and 2 milliliters of baking soda. Okay, they are different, so you need to make sure you get the right amount of each. Okay, this is what's going to help make your muffins rise. 1 mil of salt. Sometimes it seems strange to put salt into something that's sweet, but salt will bring out the flavors of all your ingredients. Okay, so it's not going to make it taste salty, but it will make it taste better. Those are our dry ingredients now. Last ingredient of our dry ingredients is chocolate chips. We all like chocolate chips, right? So 50 milliliters of chocolate chips. Okay, I'll use again the 25 milliliter spoon. Now I'm sure many of you will want to measure like this, overflowing. Okay, that is not 25 milliliters. So you would want to level that off. And with chocolate chips, it's okay to be, you know, a little bit general, but make sure it is level. Okay, so there's 25 and another 25. So you see it's not rounded over. We would have had double the amount of chocolate chips if we didn't make sure it was level. So I could have used my metal spatula and made sure it was straight. The chocolate chips are done. They go on the blue tray just because that's what it would be at school. At home, you can just have all your ingredients ready in front of you. Okay. Now our wet ingredients, we need 1 egg, 25 milliliters of vegetable oil, now remember, we can use our spoons for both liquid and dry ingredients because it's just for small amounts. Okay, so 25 is a very small amount of fat in this recipe compared to what you had in the cupcake recipe. Okay, so there's your oil. And last 2 ingredients are milk. I have 50 milliliters of milk. And remember, I don't want to be measuring like this or like this. You want to make sure it's on a level surface at eye level. Okay. So to me, and you can see in the screen, 50 milliliters. Okay. So our last ingredient to give it the banana flavor and to give it moisture, the muffin will be much more moist and much sweeter if you use a ripe banana. How many of you have bananas that look like this sometimes? Okay, sometimes they're black and you go, ooh, I don't want to eat those. Put them into the refrigerator or freezer until you're ready to make muffins. These are the sweetest bananas. They have the best flavor because they're very ripe, which means they are super sweet. Okay, so you can freeze them right in the skin. Okay, and I've had to take them out of the freezer to defrost, so it looks a little sad. Okay, and it's not very fun to open because it's very slimy. Okay, but it's delicious. Okay, so you would just empty that into a liquid measure because it is quite wet. Just squeeze that out. Keep the juices. Okay. So from defrosting, I had quite a few juices. You can see, oh, can you see that? Yeah, there they are. Oop. We'll wipe that spill up right away. Okay. The other way to freeze it is in a Ziploc bag. So I have another banana here that I took out of the skin and froze it in a Ziploc bag. Okay, so you'll see there is quite a lot of juices in there as well. Okay, so you need 125 of mashed banana. Okay, so that would be about half a cup. It's about 125. Let me check at eye level. Yep, we're good. Okay, so now we've got all our ingredients ready and we are ready to put our muffins together. Muffin method is pretty simple. There's basically 4 steps. Okay, the first step is to measure your dry ingredients in a large bowl. Okay, so step 1 on your recipe is to preheat your oven. My oven beeped earlier, so that means it said it's ready at 400 degrees. Grease your muffin cups, step 2, with a little bit of oil, or if you have these paper liners, put 1 in each. Okay, or just a little bit of oil, rub it all around the sides of each cup. Okay. Step 3, we're in a large bowl. We're going to sift together. So we're sifting again, and this is just to blend all your dry ingredients together. So we're going to sift together the all-purpose flour, which is the white flour. Okay. We're going to put the sugar, baking powder, baking soda, and salt. Remember, I put all those together in one container, so I can put those through. Make sure it all gets in there. And sift that together. This helps to blend your baking powder and baking soda together so that you don't have a big clump of it in your dry mixture. Okay. All right, the next step is to stir in your whole wheat flour. This one we don't need to sift, because if you sift it, you will get rid of the bran that's in there. Okay, so you don't want to get rid of the bran, it'll get stuck in there, you just want to add it in. So we're going to add the whole wheat flour into there, and we can mix with a wooden spoon. Okay, so just stir that together. We're going to put in the rolled oats. So I'm on step number 4. I've put my whole wheat flour, my rolled oats, and the chocolate chips. Okay. Notice these are all the dry ingredients. Put all your dirty dishes together. Give that a good stir, just to mix it all up. Okay. Now, step 5 says to make a well in the center. What we mean by a well is a hole in the center of your dry ingredients. This is what we mean by a well. It's a hole in the center of your dry ingredients. That will be to help us not mix our batter too much, so that when we add our liquid in, it won't get overmixed. All right, we've got our well in our dry ingredients. Now we are going to mix our wet ingredients in a separate bowl. So, muffin method, you always have your dry ingredients in a large bowl, wet ingredients in a separate bowl, and then we will mix them together after. So let's do step number 6. Mash the banana in a small bowl. Now, because my bananas were those really ripe ones, it's going to be super easy to get that mashed up. Basically, just stir it up with a fork. Okay. If you don't have frozen bananas, use fresh banana, and it might just take a little bit more to get it mashed up and into a smaller pieces. Okay. All right, so that's step number 6. Step number 7, we're going to mix together the mashed banana, the egg. Now, I do not want to just crack my egg into the bowl, because if something's wrong with my egg, it will ruin the bananas. And if I get any shell in there, it's going to be harder to get out. So I want to use something else, like a custard cup, okay? And I will crack that. One way to crack it is just hold in your hand and use a metal spatula and crack it like this. Another way is to crack it on the counter. And you could crack it on the side of the bowl, but sometimes shells do fall in, okay? So I'm going to do it this way. Gives me a nice sharp crack, okay? I'll crack it into the custard cup to make sure there's no shells, make sure the egg looks good, okay, and then we can put that in. Okay, so egg and then oil, my oil here. Don't forget to scrape it all out with a rubber spatula. Sometimes ingredients, when we have small recipes, they get stuck to the containers. Okay, so scrape all that out, and then finally our milk. Okay, so this was step 7, all your liquid ingredients out into a medium bowl. Okay, now you're going to mix that all together. And for step 8, we're going to combine the liquid with the dry. Okay, so mix that well, make sure the egg is mixed in well. Okay, step number 8, add liquid ingredients to the well in the dry ingredients. Okay, we're only going to stir a little bit, so we'll do it all at once. Put it all in at once. You're going to use your rubber spatula and scrape it all out. And we're going to stir only until moistened. So I like to go around in a circle and through the middle 6 to 8 times. 6. Notice how 6 is almost enough. Now a couple more strokes will be to get this dry in there. But you do not want to mix this very much. If you mix the batter too much, it will create a tough muffin. Okay, we don't want hockey pucks. We want a nice tender muffin. Okay, so a couple more times to get underneath and through the middle. By going through the middle, we get any dry spots that might be stuck at the very bottom or in the middle of the bowl. If you end up stirring in circles, the dry will get stuck in the middle. Okay, so one more time, and look, that's pretty good. I see a couple of dry spots. I'm just going to pat them. I'm going to go underneath to check if there's any flour still there, and that's it. You see how lumpy that is? We want that nice and lumpy. Okay, people often think the batter should be smooth. If the batter is smooth, you've gone too far and your muffins will be tough. Okay, we are ready to put these into the muffin tins. Okay, there is enough batter here to fill all 6 tins. Typically, you don't want to fill the muffin tins above 2/3 to 3/4 full, but I know this recipe, so just spread it amongst all 6. Okay, so you can take a spoon and the rubber spatula, take a scoop, and push it off with the rubber spatula. Okay, make sure you can take about 2 scoops per muffin tin. If you have an ice cream scoop at home like this one, it does make it very fast to do it this way. Take a muffin scoop and release it in there. Okay, but not everyone has one of these, so the spoon is just fine. I want to show you what it looks like if we stir too much. Now, you do not want to do this, but I want to show you what it will look like if we stir this too much. Okay, so this is what happens. This is our little experiment. Okay, you do not have to do this at home, but if you want to, what I've done is taken most of the chocolate chips out because they kind of get in the way of our experiment. I want to show you what happens if we stir too much. So I'm going to take those chocolate chips out. We're left mainly with batter. So look what happens when I stir too much. This is not good. So you can see the batter is looking runny and almost glue-like. Okay, we do not want that. Okay, I'm going to try a little more. Let's go a little more. It is gluey now. And you do not want your batter to look like this, although some people think it should look smooth like this. Okay, so let's bake this and see what it looks like. Clean dishes. Let's put them away now. Okay, here they are out of the oven. I recommend checking them at 15 minutes because I think mine got a little bit dark. A little bit lighter would be good, but golden brown is good. Here's some things to look for to test if they're done. So number 1, golden brown. Definitely got that one. Next one is check with a toothpick. Okay, remember to go into the biggest muffin, whichever one you have, in the middle. And there's nothing showing on that toothpick. It's all dry. Our overstirred one. Which one do you think that is? So muffins are supposed to be pebbly, okay, which means a little bit of a rough top, okay. They are not supposed to be smooth like this one. You see how smooth that is? Okay, and it's a little bit pointy on top. Do you see that? Kind of volcanic, a little bit. It might even be more so. They should be gently rounded like that. I forgot to mention to you as well, I didn't spill any on the edges because I've been doing this for a long time. I'm pretty good, but sometimes I still do spill on the edges. Take a cloth, wrap it around your finger, and wipe those edges before you put it into the oven. Okay, it will make your cleanup after much easier. Okay, after they've cooled just for a few minutes, you can put a spoon into the side and pop them out like this. Okay, and then let them cool a little bit further on the cooling rack. Okay, you see how different that one looks? Very smooth. People often think that that's what muffins should look like, and it's not, because there'll be more gluten development, which means when we stir that flour, the gluten in the flour, which is the protein in the flour, gets tough. Okay, it's kind of like overworking your muscles. When you work your muscles, they get tough and strong. We don't want tough, strong muffins. We want tender, delicate, tasty muffins. Okay, one last thing I want to show you before we devour these is what the inside should look like. Okay, so the inside of your muffin, I'm going to cut this one in half. I've got it on a cutting board. Okay, and that looks nice and even. See, we've got a few little holes, but the holes are mostly even in texture. Looks nice and tender and moist. Let's see what the other one looks like. Okay, so you see what I'm talking about here is tunnels. We do not want these long tunnels that we can see here. Okay, see the big hole here? Time to eat. You should smell that. Okay, hope you enjoy making them.